Welcome to another edition of The End Zone along with Cameron Johnson. I am Colby Daniels. We are just over a week into the 2026 World Cup. Cameron, do you have World Cup fever yet?
I've had it since about 2 weeks ago. I think in the last week I can safely say I have cried more at sports than I thought ever possible. Between that and what's been going on in the baseball world, which we'll get to, I mean, this has just been like a sports fanatic's paradise.
No doubt, no doubt. Sometimes, like during the World Cup, people say, why isn't this a bigger deal? Like during the 4-year gap between World Cups. And part of it is because of the media attention, right? You just you can't generate the same level of media attention that you get in the World Cup. And Freddie, the German World Cup tourist, is a great example of this. Like, you just don't have random Americans going across the country doing crazy stuff, checking out the latest and greatest during like the MLS schedule, for example. Like there's just so many, I think, side elements that all kind of like pile up to create this giant global phenomenon that the World Cup is, that there's no way to duplicate it.
Pick a state or a city, a host city, and you can find something that is just like amazing to watch. Like Boston, the Scottish taking over Boston, the Dutch taking over Dallas, and Freddie, who I think actually is making a stop in Oklahoma City.
He was here a couple nights ago for the Ella Langley concert.
His dream come true. But yeah, I mean, to your point, you just like, this is a big country that we as citizens, we don't see a big part of it. And then you have these people come in, and thankfully, you've got social media around to broadcast all of these experiences. But you're seeing the best, I think, of some of humanity's best moments, and that's not even getting to the football part of the tournament.
Football or soccer? We'll have that debate a little bit later. But you're absolutely right, and I think part of the maybe reasons why the game hasn't grown is the U.S. success on this stage, or lack of success in previous World Cups. They're headed to the knockout round, Cameron. 2-0 win over Australia. We'll see how ultimately all of this plays out, but we know for sure they're out of group play. 2 wins so far. They have been exceptional, especially this last win without Christian Pulisic in the lineup. They still get it done, and I mean, everybody loves a winner, right? If you're winning, that's also going to generate a lot more fanfare around, I think, the sport in general.
It's a big deal to win in the World Cup period, but the pressure that was around this U.S. team, with it being in the United States, like, they needed to come out and perform and give fans something to get excited about, because, like you said, the success is what brings in viewership. And when recently they haven't been doing well in major tournaments, to come out and get a 4-1 win and then a 2-0 win today, and I think this was the quickest they've ever punched their ticket to the knockout round. And it's like, this is everything you want to be happening. This is the dream scenario in a home World Cup.
The own goal was scored early in this game, so the U.S. was on the board, and that probably takes a little bit of the pressure off. Former Green Bay Packer wide receiver Antonio Freeman's son, Alex Freeman, scores a goal late in the first half, and the U.S. cruised to a win. Here's Alex Freeman with Tom Rinaldi after the match, talking about what it felt like to score that second goal for Team USA.
I think it was surreal, right? Knowing that I was able to contribute to my team in any way I can. Obviously, at first it was disallowed, so I was kind of anxious when I went to VAR, and then just be able to kind of celebrate the whole thing with my teammates. I think that just made it come together as a whole, and just made the experience so well. I'm happy I can contribute to a clean sheet, but not only a clean sheet, but a win.
When the goal was confirmed, how would you describe the reaction of your teammates and what went through you?
Yeah, I think when it was confirmed, I looked back and they all started all running, and I was like, oh my God, I gotta run away from them. They're gonna tackle me, and then we just ended up running to the corner flag, and it was so emotional for me, because I think you dream of this moment, and then to finally happen and be able to have such a support system to kind of help you celebrate it just means so much.
Finally, to have this result without Christian being able to go, what does it say about this group?
Yeah, it says that, we have a really strong roster, right? And it also says that whichever players we're going to put on the field, we're going to try to execute and be 100% and get results. And I feel like for us, Christian's such a vital part to this team, but, if he's not available, someone else is going to have to step in and do that. And so for us to be able to kind of go and kind of, someone step in, like a player like Ricardo Pepi, who played a very good game, and come in and play well as well. It just makes the team, as a whole, knowing that we have that chemistry, to just have an all-around team that can, come in and get results no matter what.
I don't know how the U.S. is going to fare against the big dogs of this tournament, but if you're an American fan, your expectations at least probably rising, and there's a lot to be excited about.
Yeah, especially I was doing the math on the way here, and I think I saw that there is a real scenario where the United States plays England on the 4th of July in Philadelphia. I'm like, if that's not something to play for, I mean, it's fantastic. The expectations I grew up a big soccer fan. I played it. I've witnessed a couple of World Cups for the men, and this is the most excited I have felt about it. And I think they have real potential.
Yeah.
Real potential.
If the U.S. plays England on the 4th of July, can we just move that to the White House? I mean, the UFC was there last week. Let's just move it to the White House and really do it big. That would be absolutely sensational. Speaking of chasing championships, how about the Oklahoma Sooner baseball team? They're in the championship series at the Men's College World Series. I mean, just an incredible run. 3 games in Omaha, 3 big wins, and now Skip Johnson and crew are ready to chase a national championship. Inclement weather in Omaha this weekend, so Game 1 has actually been moved up to Saturday at 2 p.m. As of right now, Game 2 on Sunday scheduled for 1:30, and then if necessary, Game 3 on Monday night would be 6 o'clock. But this Oklahoma Sooner team, it feels like they just have that thing that special teams have, that when they just kind of find their groove late in the season, they all get along so well. They keep talking about doing it for each other, and it's been a lot of fun to watch.
It's the stuff of movies, especially if they go on to win the whole tournament. You look back to mid-April, I think they had a losing record in conference play. They lost, I think, their last 4 conference series, one and done at the tournament.
Yeah.
And now, ever since then, they've beaten the ACC, Big 12, and the SEC champion. It has just been the most magical run. That's what you want as a team and as a coach, to be able to just flip the switch like that, put everything behind you, and delivers when it matters most. And it has just been such a fun ride and a fun team to watch, especially when you look at all the fan support and coach support behind them as well.
No doubt. Skip Johnson, and I know you were in this position in 2022. He was asked at the Championship Series Media Day what has changed or what's been his evolution since then.
I think I'm the same guy. I mean, I still dip snuff, deer hunt, fish. I'm the same guy. And I mean, I love teaching players, man. That's my biggest deal, is a relationship with the players and the coaches. That's what I love more than anything.
There you go. I mean, that unlocking the secret of OU baseball success: some snuff, some deer hunting, and some fishing.
That's the key to it all.
Yeah,
I think this team is also just really enjoyable to watch, especially the message he's had toward his players. He's basically like, I'm going to get out of their way, let them do their thing. And he's preached about selflessness, and to watch these players step up. Any player at any given time can do something special, and I think it's just a testament to the foundation of this team.
The bats obviously have been red hot, but the pitching to me, and the postseason pitching, I guess, more specifically, is really the story. To go through Omaha, 3 straight starts from freshmen, beginning with Cord Rager and his outstanding performance in Game 1. Then you have Xander Mercurius in Game 2, making his 4th start of the season. And pitching the way that he did, getting out of trouble a couple of times. Obviously, the story with his older brother being on the team as well is really cool. And Nick Wazlowski. 3 freshmen, that's unheard of. Not only to have 3 guys pitching, but on this stage, and to pitch as well as they have is incredible. And I mean, that's why Skip Johnson's in the position he's in, right? He's done this for a long time. And all 3 of those guys have been phenomenal.
Everything is going right for this team, it seems. I mean, the freshman thing is just so hard for me to wrap my head around. These are guys who have never been on this stage before, and they play like they've been here 100 times. And I mean, it's just the pitching is phenomenal. The offense is it's very clearly lights out. And I mean, just like I said, they're firing on all cylinders. And it just feels like, if you're an OU fan, you can taste it.
Yeah. The stars feel like they're starting to align.
Yeah.
Should be a big weekend in Omaha. I know a ton of Sooner fans are making their way there. And again, if you're not aware, 2 p.m. start time on Saturday, so adjust your travel accordingly. All right, that is Cameron Johnson. I'm Colby Daniels. We are coming up on the NBA draft next week. Is Sam Presti poised to make a draft day trade? We'll discuss next on The End Zone. All right, the NBA draft is coming up. First round this Tuesday night, second round Wednesday night. The Oklahoma City Thunder, I know there's a lot of question marks about the offseason and some team options and, how you fill in the holes that were glaring in the postseason. They have picks 12, 17, and then on Wednesday night, 37. Sam Presti talked about the value of these picks.
We try to move up every year. We try to get a price for what it would take for us to move out entirely, and then we also have contingencies to move back in the draft if we think that would, it's all about creating value. That's how we see each one of these picks. That's why I mentioned before, sometimes the best value is to take the best player on the board and figure it out later. You know what I'm saying? What you don't want to do is plan yourself into a pretzel and say, well, because this isn't figured out yet, we're not going to take this opportunity in front of us, even though this might be where the best value is. You let an option go away because, especially where we're picking, those players are extremely valuable. You know what I mean? They're in the top 20 of a really good draft. So, we're not going to let that opportunity pass us by because we haven't sorted through everything else yet.
Some have called this the deepest draft in 20 years. I know especially at the top, people like the top 5, maybe top 10-ish. OKC is still going to be in position to get really good players. They have so much depth. There's two thought processes. You might as well just package all your picks and move up and get one really good player because you may not have enough roster spots. There's also this idea that you don't necessarily need anything right now. Maybe, building for the future, you can take some flyers. There's no right way to do it, but ultimately they have optionality because of the fact that they are already built to win right now. They have multiple picks, and I'm really curious to see how this is going to work out.
I feel like I'm somewhere between those two options. I mean, obviously you don't want to, things are going well right now. That doesn't mean you should, get too comfortable with it. You've always, and I don't think Sam Presti of all people has that issue. But yeah, I mean, the amount of talent that is in this class, I find it interesting how he says, just go for the big talent, figure it out later. And it's also interesting too because to me the strong suit of the Oklahoma City Thunder is the chemistry of the team. It's not necessarily, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is one of the greatest players, but you don't necessarily need the greatest players. You just need players who can play together.
Right.
So it's certainly an interesting formula and I trust the master to do the right thing.
Is there one specific need is relative compared to like what their success is and what they look like if fully healthy, but is there one need that you identify more than others?
That's a good question. It's hard to you got to erase the most recent series because if you were to just look at that last one, you're like, maybe another big. But no, I think it's hard for me to figure out where I land on that because I really do think what happened in the postseason was just kind of it was a weird season. So I don't immediately know, but
yeah. I would say I don't think they have any desperate needs, but if there is a need, I think just another big body. We have no idea if Sorber is ever going to be anything. So just having another guy on the roster that maybe turns into something would not be a bad thing in terms of future big rotation. But I mean, again, they're positioned, I think, in the right place to have success. And again, trust whatever Sam Presti does. And for those of you that want him to make a trade, he said it right there. They try to trade every year. Whether or not somebody accepts those offers is a different story. All right, we got to take a time out. One of our new guys, Stone Weber, is going to step into the hot seat. It's Moving the Chains next, right here on The End Zone. Along with Cameron Johnson, I am Colby Daniels. It is time for Moving the Chain. The newest member of our sports team here, Stone Weber, is in the hot seat today. So, Stone, we're going to start with 1st and 10. I'm going to ask you a question, and depending on how you answer it, Cameron's going to either give you positive or negative yardage. Okay. And then you're going to try to pick up a first down. So, a really bad answer might be a 5-yard loss, and then it's 2nd and 15. Okay. So, we'll see how well you do making his end zone debut, Stone Weber. All right, 1st and 10. With the U.S. incredible start to this World Cup, have you elevated your World Cup expectations for Team USA?
Sure, I think definitely. I think especially you talk about the odds and how things can turn out better if you do win the group, right? Some favorable matchup. They're talking about it on the broadcast. It could be you win the group. You could play your round of 32, your round of 16 in your quarterfinals, all on the West Coast. No lot of U.S. soccer fans out there. So, yeah, I would say probably going into the tournament, people say a dream would be the quarterfinals. So maybe they're not so far away from that, especially if you win the group, could get some more favorable draws.
Hey, some people are even saying semifinals. But all that to say, that's the right answer. I'm going to give you a pick up a 4.
All right, there you go. Solid
That's a solid
first
start.
down answer here for Stone. All right, 2nd and 6. Are we a soccer country now? Like, are we a football country now? Like, here's the big question. Do we call it football or soccer in the United States? What are we going with?
I think you call it soccer because that's what it's always been known as here. And I know across the world it's kind of a
They
little
hate
bit
it.
controversial.
Yeah.
They hate it a little bit. But I think that's kind of part of being an American too. It's a little bit different. And that's what it is over here. And I think there are some people who've kind of opened up to it more. I think we've seen everyone on social media. The World Cup has kind of made people look at U.S. soccer culture. Maybe isn't so bad as people have thought for so long, but it's got to be called soccer.
Don't forget, soccer also, I think the name soccer started in England. I don't know. But I feel like in the U.S., you say soccer, but if I'm talking to an international person, I'm going to say football. But I think ultimately that's the right answer. I don't love that that's the reality, so I'll give you a pick up to 2.
Okay.
I think it's absolutely the right answer. In this country, at least, it's soccer. We already have something called football, and it is great, and it is not being replaced name-wise, at least. All right, so 2-yard gain, so 3rd and what, 4? 3rd and manageable?
4, yeah.
All right, I think you're in good shape. Last week we saw the UFC host an event at the White House. What sporting event would you want to see at the White House next?
Man, I mean, you got to say a football game, right? I mean, imagine having the Super Bowl at the White House. That would be something where it's almost like a dream reality, like a 250th anniversary of the country, U.S. versus England in Philadelphia. That could happen. I would say having a Super Bowl there doesn't get any better than that. Maybe Dallas Cowboys in that as well. Imagine how many viewers that would get. So.
Now we're really talking
Yeah,
in a dream
you-
world,
you
but
got
hey, I'm
us
here.
hooked.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Yeah, no, I think the most American sport, to your point, maybe not the most American, but certainly one
Yeah,
of
sure.
the. I think football is the right answer there. It's hard to imagine a football stadium on the White House lawn, but if you could make it work.
I mean,
Well,
I'm
I
sure that
think-
there's a space of at least 100 yards, and I mean, like.
Yeah, I guess you don't
You
need a
just
whole
wouldn't have the
stadium.
crowd,
You just
yeah.
need
You
the
don't need the
field.
fans.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
sure.
a first down.
All right, the other night at the College World Series, we saw Sooner quarterback John Mateer watching the baseball team. Cool that he was in attendance.
Right.
He was holding a hamburger. So my question is, at a baseball game, are we going hamburger or hot dog?
Well, it's got to be hot dog, right? It goes back to that American tradition. Some mustard, some ketchup, and that's it. That's all you need. Keep it simple. Get some Cracker Jack as well. Call it a day.
There you go.
I think that's the right answer for the mass population. I am biased. I prefer hamburgers to hot dogs, but I think your answer is correct.
I prefer hamburgers to hot dogs also, but at a baseball game,
Right.
I'm going hot dog every
Okay.
time. Like that's the way that it should be. That's the way it's always been. And in this country, we call it soccer, and we eat hot dogs at baseball games.
Right.
All right, great job for Stone Weber picking up the first down. It is the closing argument with Noble McIntyre next, right here on the End Zone. All right, we are wrapping up the show with the closing argument along with Noble McIntyre. I am Colby Daniels. We've had so much going on in the sporting world, and right in the middle of it is this college football controversy with Texas Tech and Brendan Sorsby, which seems to have finally met an end that is pleasing to the majority of the nation. Nothing has united this country quite like this whole debacle as the Big 12 basically threatens, federal influence on the decision, and now Brendan Sorsby is headed to the supplemental draft.
A part of the Big 12 making that move was because of Paxton, the Attorney General for the state of Texas, trying to preemptively make a move against the Big 12 and said, look, if you do anything to us, we're going to sue you for hundreds of millions of dollars. Complete wrong move, just as their little round table was the complete wrong move. It made them look foolish. I mean, if you can't be disqualified from playing college football because not only did you gamble, but you gambled on your own team, I don't know what you're going to get disqualified for at this point. And I think this is the right move now for them to say, Sorsby, you just need to move on.
it's been a PR disaster across the board. I know you make arguments in a courtroom, but they could have used somebody like you in their corner just in terms of the PR over the last couple weeks.
It was a horrible move. You know, they did it to save the $5 million. But at some point, smarter minds needed to preserve and say, listen, this is going to be bad if we try to push this kid out there. We're making this argument that's because he has a mental illness and because he's got a gambling addiction. And here's the deal. I get it. Let's go with that line of thinking. They were concerned about him because he's got a mental illness, gambling, and they want him to get treatment. Fine. Look, in the line of business that I do, if you have an alcohol problem, we want you to go to AA. We want you to get help. But if you've had multiple DUIs, you've disqualified yourself from driving a semi on the roads.
Right.
You just have, because it's not safe. Same thing here. Get the kid some help, but he's disqualified himself from playing college football. Live with that penalty and move forward. They chose to try to keep him on the team, and the bad press that followed was amazing.
Yeah, I'm curious to know what would have happened if the Big 12 didn't step in and threaten the federal stuff, but the court of public opinion was so big that I think at some point Tech might have just felt the threat of what it was going to, the blowback on them over the next year, and may have pulled the plug on their own, but this certainly sped up the process. All right, that is it for this edition of The Closing Argument. For Noble McIntyre, I'm Colby Daniels. We'll see you next week.